State and territory governments have now overwhelmingly endorsed the federal government's plans for a national disability insurance scheme. At last Friday's COAG meeting, the nation's leaders agreed to begin working towards the national scheme, which has a start-up date of 2018. New South Wales Disabilities Minister Andrew Constance says the NDIS is urgently needed and wants the start-up date brought forward. His views were reinforced after agreeing to experience first the human impact of disability. Sharon O'Neill reports.
I just think there's no substitute for actually seeing for yourself and experiencing what's involved, because the care needs of a severely physically disabled person are quite intense.
When Sue O'Reilly, who runs the disability charity Fighting Chance, suggested to Disabilities Minister Andrew Constance that he spend some time at the Turnbull household, he jumped at the chance.
How are you?
I'm very well. Can I introduce Andrew Constance? Andrew, this is Moira Turnbull.
I think pollies of all political persuasions should come and spend a day with a family and with a person with disability.
If Glenn goes like this, it means yes.
Moira Turnbull is mother to Glenn, a 39-year-old man with cerebral palsy, a physically disabling condition he developed after contracting encephalitis at the age of 2.
Oh, he's a mad St George man.
Glenn Turnbull needs full-time care, and today Andrew Constance is getting a brief snapshot of what that involves.
We had a good morning this morning, you and I. Well, I was looking forward to meeting Glenn, and certainly I think one of the key things is I didn't know. You know, this is the point. I didn't have any expectations about what this morning could be about. Breakfast time?
Yep.
Time to get up.
You can't get the full picture in just those few hours, you know, for everything that goes on in the life of a disabled adult and their parents. You'd have to be here for a week. You'd have to live here for a week just to get the full picture, you know. It's very commendable that he come out, and I hope it does some good. You can't do anything in a hurry in this household.
Andrew Constance's visit comes just weeks after the Prime Minister's announcement that Australia will begin preparing for the establishment of a national disability insurance scheme, a scheme he says is long overdue.
It breaks your heart to know that we live in a country where the disability support system's based on rationing, not on entitlement. I see every week families who are at that crisis point. You know, the love never stops, but the enormity of the strain and pressure in crisis is there. And we've got to find a better way forward.
This is normally a two-person home care, must have two people doing it. But unfortunately, I've got to do it on my own. So we have battled since Glenn was tiny. We definitely need more help at this stage, and for acute crisis, it's a 7-year wait. So it's people trying to make out that you need it more than it's atrocious, to be honest, because there's so many people out there needing it. But the crisis list is 7 years, so you have to fill out all this paperwork. You have to get letters from this doctor, letters from that doctor, and it goes on and on. Then put it in, and then you sit and wait. Using all my strength to keep his foot there. He's so strong.
The Turnbulls always knew the day would come when they couldn't care for Glenn.
Every mother's nightmare, you know, of a disabled adult is what's going to happen to them if something happens to us, when something happens to us.
Breakfast time.
But they didn't expect it to happen just yet. In April this year, Glenn's father, Rob, was diagnosed with the incurable motor neurons disease.
I'm battling on. I'm going to have to help Rob more and more. I'm up to clean up at night. I mean, I'm okay, but sometimes I just seem to hit a wall.
Hello, mate. You ready to do your footy tips? Yeah? Big week this week. You need a winner, the way you're going. It's going to get to the stage, because of what's happened to me, that it's going to be impossible to have the two of us here. So it either means, like, I guess eventually me going to a nursing home, or Glenn going into a respite home, something like that. And that's something that you don't think about before this has happened. Now this has happened to me. And it's not about me, you know, it's really about Glenn. So I sort of worry about him going into a permanent home where we're not there, because we're always sort of been there for him. Rabbitohs, favourites, Cowboys. Cowboy. Lunatic, Glenn.
If a national insurance scheme had been in place when Glenn Turnbull developed cerebral palsy, his lifetime care and support would have been managed and funded by a government agency. All his essential needs would have been taken care of, and his parents and sister Hayley wouldn't have the stress of worrying about Glenn's future without them. Do you ever sort of wonder how long can you keep going?
Well, I do. I won't admit it to anybody else. I mean, Hayley's often said to me, you can't keep doing this, you can't keep doing it. And I say, I'm fine. So she comes and she says, you're fine, we're fine, everybody's fine. But I did say to myself the other week, we had a certain upsetting episode with Glenn, and I just couldn't get him into the chair. He wouldn't relax. That's when I said to myself, I can't do this.
Panthers at home? You want Panthers?
The planned start-up date for the National Disability Insurance Scheme is 2018, but Andrew Constance says it needs to be up and running long before then.
We would like to see it advanced, not, you know, somewhere off on the horizon, 2 election cycles away and 7, 8 budget cycles away. Let's move it forward. If we can prioritise carbon, then we can prioritise people with disabilities.
You can't fix a system that is as dysfunctional and as underfunded as the Australian system has been for decades. Sadly, you just can't fix that in terms of training all the staff that you need, the new staff, building all the new buildings, providing all the new services. That it does take time, but like everybody else, I'm hoping that once the process gets going, they will find that they can do it much more quickly.
Doing excellent. People are doing without, people are battling, people are struggling, because there's no funds out there, there's nothing to help you do what you would like to do. Glenn's life could have been a bit different had we had funds to get things for him and make things easier for us.
All right, well, thank you for having me in your home today. I think, you know, the wider community sees disability somewhere over there. They don't need to worry about it unless it happens to them. They think that it's taken care of, but it's not. And we have to realise that we have to invest in this.
He's still got, you know, a reasonably good life in front of him. He's only 39. You're 39? Yeah, 39. So I'm only joking with him, but he's got to be looked after as well. But we'll get there, won't we, mate? We're survivors.